Hello folks, this is BobBrew.com here, continuing playtesting for the Pro Tour. Not for me, but to the mates on the left side of your screen. So this is a matchup between Jeskai Tokens and Abzan Control. We would gun this against Red Green Devotion and Sultai Control in the next two videos. So we felt very clunky about rally decks because people are going to be prepared for them. We kind of went to next level and beat those. So Anger of the Gods seems like a great card, and Jeskai Tempo in our minds loses to Jeskai Tokens in the matter of comparison, because Tokens is a much more powerful deck while it shares the same base as Jeskai Control. So Temple from him and Forest from me, Plains, nothing, just a green-white fetch lands, nothing, end of turn raise the alarm, couple of tokens, nothing much, Temple Scry at the bottom, swing for 2, I'm down to 18, I kept a very greedy hands on the play, I believe. Had to discard the Fotsies. My hand was like a couple of languishes, so that is not really an exciting game here, but you can see how clunky and slow Abzan Control is. So he goes for like another raise the alarm, Ascendancy on his turn, and I just scoop my cards because I don't draw any black sources whatsoever. I was hoping to draw like some lands and then like a Corsair of Kufix, but that didn't happen. And he had a pretty fast draw as well. Well, not as well, just in general. So we're quickly shuffling for the second game, since the first one wasn't really much of a match or much of a game. It is a negative matchup for Abzan Control, that's for sure. Even with Languish and a lot of removal, but a lot of it is stuff like Hero's Downfall, which is not really great in this matchup. If we would have tried to build like with some main deck Bile-Blights, it could have been a different story. But Bile-Blight right now is not insane outside of like decks like Tokens or Goblins. So Citadel on turn 1 from me. I think it's Monastery on turn 1 from him. Thoughtseize. I see a Chase, Stoke, Raise Alarm, Villary Stance, and something else. I think that was Outburst. I'm taking away Chase because it's his turn to play and I want to get rid of it very fast. Island, Sticker of the Way from him from the top. It's less carry, but still Sun Crusher. Temple of Melody, Scry at the bottom. My hand is stocked with a lot of stuff which I would be able to play only very late in the game. So I cast Den Protector face up just to block the Seeker of the Way. That forces him to use a spell for Seeker right here, if you don't mind. So he uses a Raise Alarm to put a couple of tokens. You see him stacking 2 lands. That's a good sign for me, because if I can stall the game a little bit, then I should be on top in this one. Temple of Silence, considering for a long time about the Scry. I don't quite remember what it is, but anyway I pushed it to the bottom. Then cast Nissa. I did it in the wrong order obviously, and then he allowed me to fix it. Nissa gets a Forest, and of course like he says that yeah sure, like that's not the right way I should do it. So I consider unscrying afterwards, after the Nissa. So he shocked my Nissa away to attack for a bit. I cast Rhino, so I'm in a decent shape, so he will restance it, attacks for 5. I'm down to 11, he's up to 26. Another Rhino. Keeping myself alive. Big blocker for his stuff. Still not drawing third lands, sadly, for him. And his hand is really stocked with a lot of stuff. Only one red source, so he stoked the flames in his hands, not doing much because all his creatures are white, so he can't really convoke them. So he attacks again, block the Seeker, he casts a shock, so that means that the Seeker trades with the Rhino. He attacked for 2 with every tokens, so I'm down to 12. I fetch, cast an Elspeth, make some soldiers. So Elspeth is at 5. Feeling good about this game so far. So he got his second red source in form of Human Reef. Outburst and passing the turn. So he's hoping probably to draw Ascendancy and try to grind the game this way. I try to be aggressive because I'm gonna put more tokens with the Elspeth and play some more stuff. So Elspeth up to 6. If he draws like an Ascendancy, I'm not gonna be feeling that great. Courser, land on top, gain a life. Passing the turn. I think I had like a downfall in hand or something like that. Stoke the flames at end of turn. I'm down to just 8. He's casting the Cruise because he cast like a bunch of things. So his graveyard was stocked. He's debating a lot of time like for what to keep like in there. First things like a stock because with Jace. Then thought like keeping stance now, and he kept the Jace because of Ojutai's command. So that was unlikely way for him to get value from the cards left in his graveyard. Temple, Scries on bottom. Passes the turn. Yeah, I forgot to show that from the Courser. It's not a land. Then it's a land. After I draw for the turn. That's the Temple Melody. Scry, Tessiger is not really exciting here, so I push it to the bottom. Then it's another second Elspeth. Not that great, but probably better than Tessiger in this situation while I'm at 9. So I want like Rhinos or Coursers on top instead of like such value grinders like Tessiger. So we use dices for the tokens because the board gets kind of clogged, and we can still interpret the board states. I attack with those 6 tokens, I think. Uptick Elspeth, 3 more soldiers. Pass the turn. Not sure what was in my hand. Probably some clunky expensive spells. Stuck to my face, down to 1, and another stoke. And he had a shock in hand, and whatever. The hand was just like, I think, a couple of lands and Abzan Charm. And the Rhino was very close, somewhere at the top of the deck. So, yeah, that's how, with all the powerful spells you can lose to Jeskai, even though you think like you were really in that game. Because we're testing so many matchups, and because after sideboarding the matchups really become very different. So our goal was to playtest really a huge amount of decks but without sideboard, because with sideboards you can fix a lot of loopholes from the deck, but you really want to stand a good chance in game 1. So with some decks it's really losing game 1 in a very uh, crazy fashion, like what happened in the last couple of games that you saw here, then probably we shouldn't consider as a contender the deck that was losing a lot of game wins, because each deck has like things like Anger of the Gods or Drown in Sorrow or like Erising Cleric for extra life gain and things of that nature. In the off-camera testing without me, with some other friend of ours, the Abzan control deck, we've main deck not only language but also Dramoka's commands and police main lines. It really was capable of standing a chance against this deck, but Dramoka's commands and lions are not really great as main deck cards in Abzan control, but definitely those two cards should be in the sideboards of Abzan control, because in our minds green white command is really powerful right now in the format. So Monster in turn 1 from him. I had to mulligan down to 6. I'll get to Scroy, and I have a lot of reactive spells and a lot of answers, so like Languish, which could potentially mean a big trade, not just 1 for 1 but at least 2 for 1, so I can get some card disadvantage back this way. Temple Melody, debating about the Scry, decide to keep it on top. Fetching, casting Seeker for him. Another Temple Melody, Scry, pushing it to the bottom. And I decide to go a bit greedy with Thoughtseize. I see some lands to, I think, raise the alarm and Ascendancy. And I can probably contain his creatures, but Stoke is a big problem because outside of Courser and Rhino there is not that much life gain or ways to prevent it or counter those kind of spells. So I took the Stoke, attacks with the Seeker. Before damage he cast the Raise the Alarm. I cast Nissa to block and ramp a bit. He got the Ascendancy, which means his Seeker is a free. He kept 1 mana up for some reason. That's very weird. So he took 1 extra damage from the Battlefield Forge from the Painland. That is kind of weird, but because he didn't shock away my Nissa with the Well Slash before attacks, so that means he's got something else up, and that kind of bugged me quite a bit. But I still wanted to block here because at 15, taking 3 more, pushing down to 12 with him having Ascendancy and playing some creatures, that felt way too risky. So very annoying champ block here with the Nissa. But in the end I decided to not to block, go to 12. That didn't feel great, that's for sure. Use up a fetch land, which I shouldn't have because I thought that I have like better ways to use that fetch, like with the Courser, something like that. Yeah, my plan here was to actually cast Abzan turn once he grows his Goblet because of Provis. So he casts Stalk the Flame, a thing to my face, summon his guy and tapping them with Ascendancy. But with the triggers from Ascendancy on the stack, I decide to do some stuff here in response, because it doesn't really hurt to do it right now, because once Provis trigger resolves, his guy's a free, and because I would cast it anyway to exile his guy. I didn't want him to untap with the creatures and be able to cast something else or grow them or things like that. Well, it didn't hurt. So that's what happened. Nisa traded with just a token. That wasn't really exciting. I'm down to 5 already. That's not really great news. I definitely need a Rhino or a Corsair here to try to stay alive, or at least a little bit. Every Temple Melody is crying. Don't remember what was it, but something weird. Push it to the bottom. For Tassiger, he told me that with enough cards in the graveyard, maybe it was okay to exile more cards and try to represent like some removal, like a Biobolite. But because I basically scanned the entire decks and I saw like no Biobolites in there, just ultimate prices, so that felt like really bad mind trick, really bad bluff. So Wild Slash to me, cycle with Ascendancy, Temple, push it to the bottom. So I had a Nisa, so maybe there was a way for me to cast both that turn, but I didn't feel that great as a plan. I think I was one card short to cast them both. Then I fetched and realized that there is only one plant in the entire deck, so I can't really cast Elspeth. But because he doesn't run Lightning Strike in his deck, so the difference between 2 and 3 life is not a huge deal. And I have a 5 toughness guy in play to block his only token, because he could always end of turn raise the alarm, but I couldn't really play around that, because now I can't really cast my Elspeth, because there's only one plant in the whole deck. Well, now I'm forced to just pass the turn, fearing the worst that could happen here. So since I want to do at least something this turn, and activated Tassiger doesn't seem sweet, because maybe I could have just delved everything away and hoped to get some business with Tassiger, but against this deck, the stuff I could return with Tassiger, potentially even with an empty graveyard, are not that great. So he just cast Forging Outburst and Stoke the Flames me to face. Whatever. I just wanted 2 blockers because instead of Lightning Strike, he plays a couple of Elder Stunts in the deck. So my Tassiger is not really guaranteed to actually survive the turn. So I wanted another blocker. But yeah, with Ascendancy in play, he gets to filter through the deck very quickly and very effectively, so he can very quickly dig through the deck until he gets what he wants, like a burn spell to finish off the game. So yeah, negative matchup, at least for game 1s for sure, and probably not even that great either after sideboarding. So yeah, Lions and Green-White commands probably should be in the board of Abzan control, if not main deck, because then you see what happens. Citadel on turn 1. Not feeling that great. In the game, in the matchup, and overall, Blurred Temple, think he capped it on top. Forest pass. Red White Temple, capped it on top, I think, and pass. So that's great. No 2-drop, no chase, no seeker, no raise the alarm. So that's supposed to buy me a little bit of time. Okay, chase and try land. I fetch on the turn, and I'm in turn to draw some cards. I need an answer for that Jace. But Rhino is also that more or less fine on the play. He's fetching down to 16, but that's not a big thing because he always could gain some spare life with Seeker or Ojutai's command. He's tanking for a while. He had quite a few options, decides to play Ascendancy. My only chance to win that game is just to try to raise somehow. So I attack with the Rhino at healthy 20 life. I think it was almost a no-brainer. Then I had quite a few options what to do. I think just played a Painland or something. Downfall on his guy. Yeah, I needed second black. Here you see my mistake. I really needed to try to downfall his guy before attacking. He told me later on, but this course of events seems kind of insane, that him having the wild slash and looting and untapping and cycling again, so it had to be exactly wild slash, but I guess that's why he played his previous turn this way. So my downfall got blanked, and in the end he got a chase at 5 loyalty counters. If I would have tried to do that before combat, I would put his chase down to 1. That means he wouldn't be able to flashback anything. But yeah, here you see really the power of like chase plus ascendancy. Stance on my Rhino, looting. Then I think he flashed back to raise the alarm. The correct sequence in rubber, like showing what is tapped and what is played. It's not really the most comfortable way, but in the end it's all understandable, because when we played we sort of like communicated more or less properly. So he cast a treasure cruise there after all the cycling and digging and giggling and the giggling, just to see what's up. Seeker, I believe another treasure cruise, Toke, land and something else. Nisa, and Nisa didn't feel great there at all. Temple afterwards, right to the bottom. Active Jace, Ascendance in play, some creatures. So I'm really down in this game again. Some guess in hand. So yeah, he had quite a few options what to do here. Cruising, looting before cruise resolves. Pitch and Seeker, cruise. Well slash Nisa before attacks. After attacks putting me down to 9, uptake Jace. So much value. I'm really contemplating what to do here. 9 life is not very low. Temple of Silence after Elspeth and some tokens. So at least I could potentially chumlock. But he goes for Stop the Flames to head. Cycled. Flashback to Stoke with the Chase. And the Well Slash to face to finish me off. Hooray me. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed us. Subscribe up, so tune in for the next couple of videos of our Pro Tour Gauntlet playtesting. See you next time. Bye.